The Vision to Action Symposium series on sustainability in the built environment is an ongoing series of regional conferences that facilitate provocative, strategic conversations around bold, visionary initiatives gaining momentum in specific regions of the Pacific Northwest.
The following presentations are from the February 13th Vision to Action Symposium at Thurston County Department of Health. The topic was Healthy Energy Improvement for Rental Homes. In this video, Chris Van Daalen and Steve Abercrombie of the Northwest EcoBuilding Guild set the stage for a strategic conversation that explored market-based solutions to improve the efficiency of Thurston County's rental housing stock. This series of videos also includes presentations from the local utility, energy service providers, a renter, a landlord, and a property manager who spoke that day. To see the whole series, visit www.visiontoaction.us.
I'm really excited about this topic today because I'm not currently a renter, but I've been a renter, and I know a lot of folks who are low income, and they're renters. And a lot of times, I've heard that they're in really tough situations where, it's really, given the economy and the price of housing, it's really tough to afford a place that is, meets your needs, especially if you have more than one member of your family, if you have kids or whatever. And you really don't know what you're going to get until you get into the house. I mean, you can ask a lot of good questions, but unless the person's got utility bills from the previous renter or is willing to tell you about the mold in the bathroom, you're not going to find that out until you live there, and then you're stuck. You're really disempowered in that situation. It really becomes a drain on the household overall and causes a lot of other stress, which can lead to mental health issues, can lead to absenteeism from work if the kids are always sniffling, if you have mold in the house or whatever. And so I think it's a great opportunity, and I was really surprised by the statistics on how many people are renting. It's really almost 50% in Olympia and a little bit lower in the rest of the county. Of people who are renting, and those numbers are only going to keep going higher. It's really gone, it's been a trend since the 50s that more and more people are renting. And I was also surprised by how many people are cost burdened as renters. That 78% of low-income renters can't afford where they're living. And so the statistics are pretty compelling, and that's why we put a lot of those into the background paper that we passed out to you. I was also surprised by how much of our greenhouse gas emissions come from the residential sector of our built environment. About 50% comes from residential, and of that, at least 50% is coming from rentals. So we have an opportunity here to make a real impact on climate change and reduce our carbon emissions by addressing energy efficiency in rental homes. So, from the very beginning, it was really obvious that there was no easy answer to this because, on the one hand, the landlord is the one who has to make the investment to improve the home, but the renter is the one who's going to reap the benefit of a healthier indoor environment and lower utility bills. So we have this split incentive problem. Thurston Energy, part of the Economic Development Council that helps facilitate energy efficiency improvements of residential and commercial properties all over the county. They had been doing a lot of retrofits on owner-occupied houses, but they're just not getting a lot of uptake from renter-occupied homes. And so that kind of confirms the fact that there's definitely something that makes it tough to make that investment. So we started meeting with Thurston Energy folks and the Thurston Climate Action Team, as well as with Puget Sound Energy and a couple of different builders and energy services providers, started to just figure out, is there some way we can kind of come up with a market-based solution that will help alleviate that tension? We have come up with a bunch of ideas. We started off by creating this logic model. This is kind of a graphic depiction of what we're here to do today. If what we're after is ample, healthy, efficient rental housing, here's all the things we need to do it. And this column over here by the blue bar talks about all the different players. What we realize is that none of the different players in this picture can solve this issue working by themselves. Nobody could unlock that lock. But by working together on a market-based solution, we can have a combined or a collective impact where each of us knows we have shared goals and a shared vision, come up with some specific goals and strategies that each of you can then go home back to your own organization and work to implement your part of it. So each of us has a part to play, and today we'll have this conversation in a really unique and generative format which might be a little different than what you're used to, but I think you'll get the gist of it as we go along. It's my pleasure now to introduce Steve Abercrombie, who is the chair of the Southtown chapter of the Northwest EcoBuilding Guild, the organization that I work for. And Steve is also working on how to use data to help drive energy efficiency in commercial properties. Steve's also a really brilliant guy, and he's got a great hairstyle. So, with that, I want to turn it over to Steve, and thank you for taking the time to prepare this presentation.
Well, as Chris said, I'm the president of the Southtown chapter of the Northwest EcoBuilding Guild. And the EcoBuilding Guild is a member-supported organization whose mission is to improve the relationship between our communities and our built environment. And that's really the highlight of what I'm going to talk about here today, and I think why a lot of people are here is improving that relationship and strengthening communities through improving the built environment. So first, I'm going to start with a little bit of a personal story, and I am a refugee here in the South Sound, a recent refugee from King County, and in many ways chose to come back down to the South Sound because I think it is the most beautiful place on earth. And just looking around, the diversity, the connections, everything that we have within a short walk, bike ride, or drive within Thurston County and within the South Sound. Places like this that I can walk to from my house. I know very few other places on Earth that are this wonderful. And it's also that the draw of the great things that go on with state government and the continued convergence of the built environment and the natural environment here in the South Sound. And the personal story is as my wife and I moved back down here to Thurston County, to the Olympia area, just over a year ago, we came, as so many other people end up coming back into the area. We've been homeowners, and we're coming down and looking for a place to live. And both being working professionals, we had exactly 2 days to come down, look around, find a place, get a lease signed, get it signed before somebody else got it signed, and then we were going to be stuck there for the term of the lease. And so the story that we're going to hear from our panelists, and this topic really hits close to home for me, because as a green building professional, of course, I wanted the most energy efficient, sustainable, best indoor air quality property that I could find. And I won't go into the gory details, but I'll tell you that what we ended up with was a little bit far from that. And the most interesting part was we ended up signing our lease at the end of October, and when that energy bill hit in November, wow! So making more healthy and more efficient rentals really is something that speaks to anybody that's coming here, whether you are a renter or you are a homeowner. This hits home for you or for your kids, that it really is a great way and one of the best ways to strengthen our community. And that brings me to the vision here. And I think that the real vision is that we have healthy communities. Thurston County, where renters can easily find and secure within their means an efficient and healthy home. We're landlords that are investing in those homes and are getting better returns on their investments by having deeper relationships with their tenants and attracting tenants that are really cultivating what a landlord is looking for, and that is a continued family that they're providing for, and somebody that's helping provide for them as well. And the opportunity is that that happening really spurs economic development. It's putting people to work. The investments that are going to be happening through those, through improving rentals while helping the community, also helps the people that are making the improvements to the homes. And all of that from the advocacy standpoint of, wouldn't it be great if we saw our residential sector greenhouse gases decreasing as our overall housing stock and was growing to keep pace with the increase in population that's continuing to come here to Thurston County for the reasons that I described before. And then all of that coming together to make much better and more vibrant communities. So, as Chris said, I am a numbers guy. So the next 67 slides will go into deep and grueling details about all things relating to data. In reality, just a couple of slides to highlight the point of what Chris mentioned, and that is that Thurston County is growing. Between now and 2040, next 25 years, the projections are we're going to be adding another 150,000 people to Thurston County alone. That is a huge number of folks that are coming here for exactly the reasons that I described, and honestly, for the reasons that I came here. It's a wonderful place to be. But that means that we need to know that we are going to have a lot of housing stock that's going to be accommodating more people, and that it's going to put some increasing demand on our rental market. And so, having some foresight about what's being done to really improve our rental stock really has the opportunity to help serve that growing population. And our greenhouse gases in the county are really significantly coming from our rental stock. As Chris mentioned, about 50% of our residential housing stock is rental. And if you look at where the greenhouse gases are coming from our built environment, and our built environment being the largest electricity consumer that we have nationwide, that's really coming from the residential sector. So by improving the energy efficiency of our rental stock, we really can have a significant impact and a significant improvement on our overall greenhouse gas production. And then talking about the middle of the market, and we really think that the opportunity in discussing this for the past several months is to focus on the middle of the market. While the high end of the market already has a built-in series of incentives to improve those properties and make them more attractive to be able to increase the ongoing rental prices, and the subsidized part of the market has significant support from government and advocacy in order to help with regulated properties and improve the efficiency and health. The middle part of the market is the gap, or what I heard recently called an air sandwich, where there isn't a lot of incentive to make properties more healthy and more efficient.
Steve,
And yes.
Sorry to interrupt. If you could scoot forward or sit down, perfect.
If I got about 4 minutes.
Yeah, I know, it's hard. It's a window, door kind of thing.
So we really believe that focusing on the middle of the market and those median price homes, homes that would sell in the $150,000 to $300,000 price bracket, are really the part of the market where a market-based solution would be able to address some of the items we're talking about and move the entire market to better performance and reinforce communities. So talk a little bit about framing and perspectives. In the conversations we've had, there's a lot of folks that have different interests, and those interests don't always converge in this space. And it really would be nice if this is how it worked. If that you saw a nice little sign about an apartment for rent, you went and knocked on the proprietor's door, and you were able to find the perfect place where that was a home for you and your family. Unfortunately, the story is a lot more like mine coming to Thurston County. For renters, what they're really focused and concerned with is getting a roof over their heads and getting their stuff under that roof. And oftentimes it is a real challenge to be able to do that. It's an information challenge to be able to find what is coming with that property, understand what are the rental bills what are the utility bills going to be, what is the total cost of the rental going to be, what is the status of the rental. And so for renters, as much as a number of people here are energy focused and really love to think about energy, an Accenture survey said that the average American spends a sum total of 6 to 9 minutes in a given year interacting with their energy bills. So in the time that I've been talking, we've been thinking, this whole group has been thinking more about their energy bills than the average American. And that's a real challenge. Now, the difference there is we all think about that energy bill, like for me in November, when it hits unexpectedly and it's $100 more than you thought it was going to be. And that's particularly challenging for folks that are cost burdened, when the percentage of their rental charges is a big slice of their ongoing available income, and then that utility bill comes and it's a surprise. Their ability to pay the rent, or the choice between paying the rent or buying food, is really a significant challenge to that household. And it also becomes a significant challenge to the landlord. If the choice is between paying the utility bill and keeping the lights on, or being late on rent, what happens to the landlord in that instance? And so that is where you start to see a convergence of what we classically call a split incentive, and where there's an opportunity for both renters and landlords to get a predictable price for utilities, so that the renter knows what's coming, they have the information and can make a decision before they come into the rental, and the landlord has a higher assurance that those renters are going to be able to contribute the rent on a regular basis and be solvent. And I'll throw this slide up because it is about the money for the landlords. When it comes down to it, landlords will make decisions based on what's the right thing to do, but they're not, whether they are a reluctant landlord, somebody that's had to move out of town unexpectedly, somebody that may be cost constrained and unable to pay their mortgage, or is underwater on the house and doesn't have the opportunity to divest it. Or it's a professional landlord who's actually taking ongoing income payments from one or multiple properties. The bottom line is they can't contribute or subsidize or invest in a proposition that's not going to pay them back. Now, if it is going to pay them back, or it has, or they might be willing to undertake a risk profile that is slightly more aggressive than they would otherwise because they're doing the right thing, I think that that's a good place to talk. But I don't think that we can ask a landlord to consider an investment where it has no clear payback to them, and they can't see how they're going to contribute additional money to a mortgage that they're already subsidizing, or that they're going to take a significant risk in part of their portfolio that's not going to pay back. So for the landlords, I think we really need to make sure that it is a market-based solution that does one of a few things. It increases demand. If they are making an investment in an efficient or healthy home, and tenants are calling out for that, so they have a higher likelihood of faster rental time, or they're getting tenants that are staying longer. Those are the kinds of advantages that landlords would really be looking for. So the opportunity, as we're thinking about it and talking about it here, is what are the market solutions that can bring the money for the landlords. And then we have a great developing ecosystem of providers here, and these providers are providing the weatherization services that bring energy efficiency, but they also look at the house as an entire system. And the opportunity with the folks that understand weatherization, understand the building science, and understand how to make an improvement can help as they're making a property more efficient and making the cost more predictable and making that investment pay back, increasing the asset value for the landlord and making the house worth more in the overall investment. They can create local jobs, and they're getting folks out to do this work. And so the opportunity around economic development is, if the investment is happening, we're getting more jobs locally. And these are local jobs that are not exportable. These are folks that are working, doing really good work to improve the overall properties. And then we have the utilities, and I've seen a number of folks from utilities here. And utilities are providing a great set of services. Not only are they the ones that are constantly worried about keeping the lights on, but they're also bringing to the market a great series of incentives for making improvements in energy efficiency. And I think the utilities are really looking to understand how can they deploy those incentives to the right decision maker and get those decision makers to take advantage of them. And in the landlord-tenant situation, it's often a challenge because the tenant is the one paying the bill, and the landlord is the one that's the decision maker on any improvements to the asset or to the home. And so opportunities for the utilities and service providers to come together to get more projects done and get landlords to understand and take advantage of those great incentives that the utilities are putting forth is a key element of the overall solution. And this slide really summed it up for me, because I think information is the problem. When it comes down to a lot of this, a landlord or a tenant may make a series of different decisions if they're getting the right information. The problem is, it is competing with so much additional information that we all have to deal with that's increasing on a day-to-day basis. So how do you cut through all of that information and cut through the information overload in order to bring something that's very, very clear to landlords so that they will choose to make investments, and to tenants so they will demand those investments in healthier and more efficient properties? And I think the potential solution there is really, we look at some information products that really have disrupted our space. When anybody here looked for a rental in the newspaper in the past few years? So I see one. Where do folks go if you're looking for a rental, or you're looking to buy something in the classifieds? Where do you end up going? Craigslist. And you know, 5 or 10 years ago, we wouldn't have even thought of Craig's what? Anybody heard of another list? Anybody gone looking for a contractor and looked for a rating of that contractor? Angie's List. Another information product that really cuts through the information overload and is able to bring to a marketplace better rating, better surety, and better confidence on both sides of the transaction. So I think the challenge that I have to this group today is there a way we can put together an action plan for an information product that was able to cut through a lot of the overload that we have and actually bring together and stimulate that market for renters to demand and understand where they can find healthier and more efficient properties, and for landlords to be able to make decisions within the pace of their own improvement cycle that will increase their confidence in payback, that will increase the asset value of their properties, and will encourage them to do the right thing by investing in healthy and efficient properties. Thank you.
Well, I don't think anyone could have done all